The conference room fell completely silent when the new CEO looked across the table and said, "I'm sorry, but today is your last day." A single dad slowly stood up, picked up a small cardboard box filled with family photos and a worn coffee mug, smiled politely, and replied, "I hope this company never forgets why it was built." Nobody understood what he meant. 3 days later, the CEO walked into the company's patent archive while preparing for a major lawsuit. As she flipped through the official records, her hands froze. The same name. Again. And again. And again. Every groundbreaking invention that had made the company worth billions carried the signature of the quiet man she had just fired. Before we begin today's emotional story, welcome to Heartline Stories. If stories about kindness, second chances, and unforgettable life lessons touch your heart, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories with people around the world. Emma Lawson had only been CEO for 6 weeks. At 39, she was intelligent, confident, and determined to prove that she could lead one of America's biggest technology companies into a new era. Investors loved her bold ideas, but they also expected immediate results. The board wanted higher profits. Consultants demanded budget cuts. Department heads whispered that hundreds of employees would have to go. Emma hated layoffs, but numbers didn't lie. Or at least she believed they didn't. One file landed on her desk. Michael Carter. Senior Product Advisor. Age 45. Single father. Average recent performance. High salary. According to the reports, he hadn't led a major project in years. "He's expensive," one executive said. "We can replace him with 2 younger engineers." Emma nodded. She had never met Michael. She trusted the paperwork. The next morning, Michael quietly walked into her office. He looked tired but calm. His suit was old but clean. His wedding ring was gone, but a small bracelet made by his daughter rested on his wrist. Emma explained the decision. "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. We've decided to eliminate your position." Michael listened without interrupting. "I understand," he said softly. Emma expected him to argue. Instead, he simply asked, "May I collect my daughter's photo from my desk before I leave?" "Of course." As he reached the door, he turned back. "I know you're under pressure. I hope someday someone shows you the same kindness you're trying to show today." Then he left. Emma watched him disappear down the hallway. Something about his calmness stayed with her. At home that evening, Michael smiled for his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. "Did work go okay?" she asked. He forced a smile. It was a different kind of day. She hugged him tightly. "We'll be okay, Daddy." Those simple words reminded him that losing a job didn't mean losing hope. Meanwhile, disaster struck at the company. A rival corporation suddenly claimed ownership of several important technologies. If they lost the lawsuit, billions of dollars and thousands of jobs would disappear. Emma spent long nights reviewing company history. Late one evening, she entered the archives herself. She wanted to understand how the company's greatest inventions had been created. Patent number after patent. Innovation after innovation. One inventor's name kept appearing. Michael Carter. She thought it had to be a mistake. She opened another file. Michael Carter. Another. Michael Carter. Nearly every product that transformed the company into an industry leader had started with ideas he had quietly developed over 20 years. He had never asked for attention. Many patents had been assigned to the company under his employment agreement. Executives had taken the spotlight. Michael had simply kept solving problems. Emma felt sick. "Why wasn't I told any of this?" she asked. An elderly legal director sighed. Michael never cared about titles. He believed great ideas belonged to the whole team. Most new employees don't even know what he built. Emma realized she had judged a life using a spreadsheet. The next morning, she drove to Michael's small home. She expected anger. Instead, she found him fixing his neighbor's broken fence. Without charging $1. The elderly neighbor smiled. I don't know what we'd do without Michael. He's always helping everyone. Emma waited until he finished. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Michael looked surprised. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. She admitted everything. I never learned who you really were. Michael smiled gently. We all make decisions with the information we have. His kindness made her feel even worse. My daughter always says people deserve another chance before another judgment. Emma laughed softly. She sounds wiser than most CEOs. Lily ran into the yard carrying lemonade. Hi. Daddy says sharing makes hard days better. She handed Emma a glass with a huge smile. Emma felt tears forming. A child whose father had just lost his job was comforting the person responsible. That moment changed her forever. Back at headquarters, Emma called an emergency board meeting. She stood before the directors. I made the biggest mistake of my career. The room fell silent. She explained Michael's contributions. His patents. His leadership. His humility. His decades of service. Some executives looked embarrassed. Others looked down. Emma continued. If we only measure people by quarterly reports, we'll eventually lose the people who create our future. She asked Michael to return not just as an employee, but as Chief Innovation Officer. Michael accepted on one condition. No revenge. The board looked confused. No one loses their job because of what happened to me. Instead, let's build a company where every employee is truly seen. Emma agreed immediately. Together, they launched new programs. Every inventor received public recognition. Mentors were rewarded. Managers spent time learning employees' stories instead of only reading reports. A kindness fund was created to help workers facing family emergencies. The workplace slowly transformed. Productivity increased. Innovation returned. Employees smiled more. People stayed longer. Investors noticed something unexpected. Profits rose higher than ever before. Not because the company became colder. Because it became more human. Months later, Emma stood before hundreds of employees during the annual company meeting. She held up Michael's first patent. I once believed leadership meant making difficult decisions quickly, she said. Now I know real leadership begins by understanding the people behind those decisions. The audience stood and applauded. Michael looked toward Lily sitting in the front row. She smiled proudly. Emma smiled back. Sometimes the greatest inventions aren't machines. Sometimes they're forgiveness, humility, and kindness. Because one act of understanding can change a company. One apology can restore a family. And one kind heart can inspire thousands of others to lead with compassion instead of pride. If this story reminded you that every person has a value you cannot measure on paper, carry that lesson with you today. Offer patience before judgment. Choose kindness before assumptions. You never know whose quiet work has been holding up the world around you. Until next time, thank you for spending these moments with Heartline Stories. Stay kind, stay hopeful, and keep making someone else's story a little brighter.